friends, today I want to talk about how it feels to have completely stopped reading. I do not have a clever title for this video. I do not have anything scripted. I'm literally just sitting down. I really genuinely have no idea what I'm going to talk about, but I just really wanted to sit down and have a chatty discussion, talking off my chest, what's been going on reading wise, or what's not been going on rather. I don't know, I just really feel like this is something that I want to talk about because I feel like I have not felt like this in so long, and it's just the weirdest sensation where I'm kind of just not reading, but I'm also not missing reading, and I just don't really know what's happening. It feels really weird, and I feel like I just need to talk about it. And I'm I have this channel, and this channel is supposed to be mainly about books and reading anyway, and so I just feel like I should voice what's going on in my head towards y'all as well, especially because I just don't really know what's going on. This is one of those videos where I will talk. I just realized the camera was set up in a weird way. I'm sorry for any change or shift. This is just one of those videos where I just kind of just talk and kind of try to explain to myself or process myself what's been going on, and I don't really know where this is gonna go, but I just really wanted to sit down and talk because I am really excited about making videos, and I am just really looking forward to filming again, and I just really want to make videos and I want to put out regular content, but it's kind of hard for me to find what exactly I'm going to talk about when reading is not really a thing. So I thought, let's talk about not reading. It's just one of those things where it ended up being kind of a snowball situation. I think that's what you call it, where just things keep happening, and yeah, the snowball just gets bigger and bigger. Obviously, this all started with me getting into BTS. That's just genuinely where it started. And I've always been the kind of person, if I get really obsessed with something, then I'm not chill about it. I can't be chill about it. I want to know everything. I want to just get every single information. I'm just a sponge, and I want to soak it all in. And that's very much what happened with BTS, and especially with BTS, where they are a group that's been having a career for a really long time. There's so much stuff to catch up on. So there's just all this content out there, and that's what I wanted to focus on. I wanted to just find all the BTS stuff. I wanted to catch up with all the BTS stuff. I wanted to get all the references in the fandom, everything like that. I just wanted to get all that information, and it was just my biggest priority. It was everything that I cared about, and that happened in the middle of August. And if you're new here or if you don't remember or whatever, obviously in August I was still living at my parents' house. I did not have a job or just doing anything. I was waiting for my job to start in October, and so I had so much time on my hands, and all I wanted to do with that time was invested in BTS. And that basically was my mood for the next 6 weeks. Obviously in September I also moved, but that actually didn't take nearly as much time as you would expect it to. I moved into a flat that already has furniture and everything. So it was obviously, it's always stressful, but it's not that took off so much time that I was busy for a whole week and couldn't read because I was so busy. But that was definitely another thing that obviously also just affected my life, just moving spaces and stuff. But still I was just my brain was just in BTS mode the whole time. I mean, my brain is still constantly in BTS mode, let's be real. It is just so much ingrained in my life, so much part of my life right now. But I just think that the first 7 weeks were probably the most intense. I definitely know that in the first week of October, it was still very, very intense. But that's when it started shifting, where everything in my free time was still BTS related, but then on top of that, I had obviously rehearsals, and I had long days where I learned a lot, where I had to process a lot, where I had to remember a lot. And that obviously became my first priority, and that became also another big source of joy for me, as BTS had been in the prior weeks. And so all of a sudden I had this job that took up so much of my time, but that also just brought me so much joy, that I loved so much. And then I had this thing in my free time that also I loved, and that brought me so much joy, and that I knew I wanted to invest all of my free time in. I feel like if I had gotten into BTS a little bit sooner, obviously I was, kind of just like chilling, living my best life since I finished school earlier this year. If I had gotten into BTS in June, I might have gotten back into reading by August. But because I was kind of like getting this new thing in my life, I just knew that little bit of free time that I had, I knew that I wanted to invest that into BTS stuff and BTS related things, be it like watching videos or just like being on Tumblr, being on Twitter, being engaged in the fandom, and just like still finding out all these like inside jokes within the fandom, just being able to understand all of these references and stuff like that. And so I think that by the time where usually I feel like I wasn't investing 100% of my free time into BTS anymore, that's when a lot of my free time got cut. And that's why I still ended up investing 100% of my free time into BTS, simply because I had way less free time. Like before, basically like 85% of my life was free time, and of that 85% I invested 100% in BTS. And then all of a sudden I only had like 15% free time, if even that. Like if we take off, also just like things you have to take care of in your everyday life, it was probably even less. And then obviously of that little amount, I still wanted 100% to be BTS. And I actually thought that I would read like while commuting. I thought that I would read while being on the train to the rehearsal space and stuff like that. But I ended up just like being on Twitter. I ended up scrolling Twitter. Or even another huge factor, especially in the beginning when I didn't really know what my schedule would look like, I would invest a lot of my time on my commute and such into just like texting Melanie and just like talking to her, because I love Melanie with all of my heart. And I remember in the beginning of the rehearsal phase, I was so anxious about like how much time I would have, like how much free time I would have overall, that whenever I got a minute off, I would just make sure to like text Melanie or talk to Melanie in some way, because like I just love Melanie with all of my heart. And I just like it didn't even cross my mind to pick up a book, to read a book. It was just not a priority for me at all. And I think like after all those weeks where reading was just not a priority, which is obviously fine, reading doesn't have to always be a priority in your life, and you can still enjoy reading without it being a priority, and you can read a book a month and still say reading is your hobby. But for me, I've just always been the kind of person where I needed reading to be a thing that's really ingrained in my life and a thing that's like part of my routine. And I just think that after all those weeks where I didn't have reading in my routine and where I didn't try and make reading a priority, I think it just ended up being something that completely just fell out of my life. Like right now, like literally I'm sitting here and right behind y'all, there is like, I have like this small, you can't even call it a shelf, but it's just, there's books set up there. Like I'm literally looking at these books and I just feel barely anything. Like I have Sea Witch Rising on there, I have The Unquiet on there, which I have not been shutting up about, I have Sorcery of Thorns on here, I have the Onyx and Ivory sequel, I have Dance of Thieves and its sequel, the fucking arc that Melanie sent me, just Wild Beauty, which I have actually already started in August. And I look at all of these books and I just don't feel anything. And it's not like a negative feeling, it's not like a positive feeling, it's just a nothing feeling. I just don't feel like this urge to pick up any of these books. And I really just think it's because reading is no longer part of my life because I didn't make an effort to make it part of my life. And I think I just got so used to it no longer being a part of my life that it just kind of fell away. And I think that if I really want reading back in my life, I think that I really, really need to work hard to get that back into it, because it's not like I haven't tried. I started Cry as War in September and I read the first 25% and I enjoyed them so much. I had such a good time. I never picked that book up again after those first 25%. After sitting down that first day to read those first 25%, I have not touched that book ever since, even though I was enjoying it so much. And I think having that moment, because that was still in a phase where I was like, oh, I really want to read. Like, I want to get back into reading and I really want to try and like still have this be part of my life because I still had so much free time. But I think after that, and then on top of that, obviously having less time as well, I think that's when I really realized like something's going on. Like something's just like happening, and I just knew from here on out things wouldn't be easy, because if me already starting and getting into a book that I also really enjoy is not really getting me motivated to read, then there's definitely something happening here. There's definitely a change happening here. And I think that that change was inevitable. I think that that change would have come eventually anyway. And I think that that change probably would have come anyway with rehearsals. I do think that things would have changed during rehearsals anyway, but it was definitely the combination of BTS beforehand and already being out of the routine when the rehearsal started that really kind of like sealed the deal. Just the combination of those things combined, and just like having other things just be a bigger priority, that just all ended up making me like just no longer read books. And I still consider myself a reader because like obviously I still read 100 books this year, okay? Like even if I do not pick up another book this whole year, I have still read 100 books this year. I have still read like, I don't know, I think over 700 books at this point in my life. Like I am a reader and I do not feel any pressure to read right now. I think the only thing that feels a little bit weird is like, you know, I am a reader, but at the same time, I am kind of like feeling like I'm losing part of my identity, and that sounds very dramatic. Again, this is not even something that I feel very like negative about or that scares me. It's just like this weird feeling where I'm kind of like, how is this gonna go on? Like, where is this gonna go? Am I gonna get back into reading? I don't know. I feel like at this point, it's been so long that I'm just genuinely wondering, is this it? Like, has this intense reading phase where I just read a lot, has that just passed? Is that over? Is that never gonna come back? Or is it gonna come back eventually? I think there's so many ways for me to go right now, and I think that's a little bit scary. I think that there's so many paths for me to go right now. And I just think of this option of like, what if I never get back into reading? And it's not even necessarily me being like, oh my God, like I can't imagine my life without reading, because clearly I can, because it's the life that I'm leading right now. And clearly I still have an identity without reading. And clearly I am happy without reading as well. Like, reading is not the sole source of my happiness, but what actually scares me is just this is gonna sound so like superficial and shitty, but like I'm kind of like, oh my God, all these books that I bought, all the stuff that I own, all this bookish stuff that I own, that kind of freaks me out in this really weird way. I don't really know how to describe it without sounding like that's the only thing I care about. Like at the end of the day, I'm not like, oh, I don't care about reading, and like I'm just gonna throw all these books away, I'm just gonna put them all into boxes and I like no longer care. Like that's the only thing I care about. Like I still believe, just because reading has been such a big part of my life in the past couple of years, I still believe that I am going to find my way back into reading eventually. I think that I'm going to find my way back into reading, you know, at least a book a week. I do think that I will get back to that point, but I will give myself time to get back to that point, and I will not pressure myself into getting there, because I don't think that's the right way, and I think that's an approach that's gonna make things worse, and I think that's an approach that's gonna make things feel negative. But like, giving myself that time and giving myself that space is, I think, what makes my brain kind of go into the wildest directions. Again, the direction of like, what if I never read again and I have all of these books, and what am I gonna do with all of these books? And like, I know that's bullshit anyway, because like, at the end of the day, I like having a space with books in it. Obviously, I have a lot of unread books, and I think that's also the thing. Like, obviously, I don't have a lot of space here, and I also am only here for a set couple of months. So the books that I brought were 90% books that I haven't read yet. So like, obviously I don't have a lot of emotions towards them because I just haven't read them yet. And like, usually I was really excited because I was reading and I was like, what am I going to read next? What am I going to read next? And I'm so excited for this one. I'm so excited for this one. And I'm out of that feeling. But obviously the love that I have for the books that I read previously is still there. Like, I still love Shades of Magic, I still love the Graceling Realm trilogy, I still love the Hunger Games trilogy, but I don't have any of these books here because it wouldn't have made sense. So I think that's maybe also why my brain is going into that weird direction, because I'm kind of like not surrounded by the books that I already have read and that I already know I love. I just think that I am kind of like forgetting about that just because I don't have all of those books around me, and I forget how much happiness owning those books brings me. I think I forget how much happiness just filling my space with books brings me, because the books that I have here are not attached to like happy memories and happy feelings, if that makes any sense. They are just like neutral because I haven't read them. So yeah, I think that's everything that's like at the top of my mind right now when it comes to like not reading, and just how I think it all happened and where I think it's gonna go and how it feels right now. I don't know if this was an interesting video to watch, but it was certainly interesting for me to just kind of let my brain just like word vomit and just kind of like say whatever comes to mind for me. So I'm definitely glad I sat down to just film this, to just like kind of talk it all off my chest. I'm excited to see what you all are gonna say about this. Have you felt something similar before? Are you maybe going through something similar right now? I think lots of people go through this when they have big life changes. And then I think there's also a lot of people who are currently going through this because of like the BTS stuff, or surely a lot of people have gone through this before. I have definitely gone through this before with video games. That's definitely been a thing as well. That's the thing, obviously I have gone through this before as well, but I don't think it's ever been this intense. I don't think it's ever been going from like 15 books a month to like 0 books a month. That really is the most intense change I've had so far, and I think that's why I'm kind of like, this is very strange. Like, it just feels very, very strange and very weird. But anyway, I would like love to hear your experiences with this and just the things that like kind of happened to you. And again, for me, it's obviously been so many things at once. It's just, it just makes a lot of sense. And I think that a lot of people can relate to either one or many of those. But yeah, just let me know your experience in the comments down below, I guess, whether they might be recent and about similar things, or something you had a couple of years ago and how that has kind of developed. That's it. I don't know. This is weird because I'm really having like a conclusion, and I didn't really know what I was going to talk about in the first place. So it's like, am I done? Do I have anything left to say? Who knows? But it's not like I couldn't make a sequel to this video eventually. Anyway, I make new videos hopefully at least once a week, so click subscribe to never miss anything and hit the little bell so you get notified as well. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye.